Hi guys, Everyday Knife Guy here, and today I'm going to be looking at something a little bit different with you. This is a product I was sent for review, and this is called KeySmart. Now, I have this set up at the moment. I'm going to tear it down in a minute and show you exactly what you receive in the mail and how to set it up, but this is basically the concept. You may have seen one of these or a similar type device recently. They're becoming more popular. It's basically a way of organizing your keys, getting rid of the traditional keyring and cutting down on all the jingle and rattle of having keys in your pocket. It's a sort of device that I've kind of been on the fence about. I'm not really sure if it's something that fits with the way I use my keys and the sort of keys I have lying around. So I've held off from buying one so far, but as I say, I was sent this for review, so I figured I would give it a go and see what the pros and cons are. So I'm going to pause the video now, tear this apart, and I'll show you basically what you receive and how to set it up. Okay, so when you receive your KeySmart, this is basically what you get. It's just a small Ziploc bag. It says KeySmart there, handmade in the USA, which I believe all of these are machined and assembled in Chicago. And on the back you can see there's our KeySmart. Let's open this up. A little card in there, tells you where you can follow them on Instagram and so on. And assembly videos, accessories and our store available at keysmart.com, and that's actually quite useful because there's no instructions for assembly supplied. You need to go to the link is getkeysmart.com/assembly, and there's a brief video there that shows you how to do it. Obviously it's not rocket science, it's a fairly simple little device, but it is pretty useful to go and watch that video. So the KeySmart itself is basically just this small bar. It's just two scales, I guess you call them. Aircraft aluminum they are, and the hardware is actually stainless. And basically the concept is there's two posts, one at either end, and basically you just thread your keys on there and they rotate around those and it keeps the whole thing together. So pretty simple concept. As you can see, when you receive it out of the box, it is very thin. And quite a narrow, very lightweight little package. I mean, that's not much heavier than a standard keyring, but it is very thin, and that was the first thing that struck me. And I was thinking, well, how many keys can actually fit on this thing? So the answer to that is between 2 and 4 on the standard one. So you can see here the supplied loop, basically for attaching other car keys or hooking on a bag or whatever, actually takes up the space of one key. So on this end you have space for one key and a loop. And on this end you have basically room for 2 standard keys. So if you were to get rid of the loop, you could have 4 standard keys on basically the out-of-the-box version. That's not a lot. This is $20, I believe $20 US for the actual basic KeySmart. There's a titanium version that I think is in around about the $40 mark. So it's not super expensive, but it's not dirt cheap either. And it's not a huge capacity for straight out of the box. It does come in lots of lovely colours: black, red, green, pink, orange, grey, blue, all sorts of stuff, so you can get it anodized any way you want. And yeah, that's it. So to disassemble it and put keys on, there's just basically these 2 flathead screws in the back. It's just it's good from one point of view in that basically you can use any kind of thing that resembles a flathead screwdriver to disassemble it. The only thing I've been using is actually the end of this Victorinox can opener, bottle opener with the flathead on it. So it's a very wide slot in there, which is quite good. The thing I don't like about that is it's actually very shallow. I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I can show you on the light here. It's a very shallow groove in the actual screw, so I find that I slip out quite a lot with the end of the bottle opener. But let's see if we can get this post out here. So yeah, there's the, oops, try not to lose that. So there's your post, and it just has a little rubber grommet on there to cinch everything down. And we have our loop. Oops. And you have a few of these spacers. So basically the idea is on each post at either end, you want to build them up so they're flush with the top of the post, whether you're using keys or spacers. So they give you some of these little kind of washers. I don't know if they're Teflon or what they are, but they don't seem to be metal. Perhaps they are. They're Teflon coated perhaps, and yeah, you just stack those up to make both ends level. So if you wanted to just put keys on this end, for example, you just thread them on, got a couple here, and this is designed to fit a standard key, which apparently is 53 millimeters. Certainly in North America or the US, that's the standard key size. They do a longer version, so basically the whole bar gets longer for international key sizes, so that's just something to bear in mind. And I found, most keys seem to fit on okay. Obviously the ones just with a straight hole through are going to work better on the actual pivot, but it does work with these ones with the slots in them as well. So there you can see 2 keys on that end. It's basically right up to the top of our post. You can just see the post poking out there. So yeah, 2 keys that end, 2 keys at that end, and you'd be at capacity for the standard version. You can put keys like this on. It's not recommended according to the website for in terms of rotating properly around the pivot. I have put these on to test them, and it seems to work okay. It's a little bit snug due to the rubberized coating, but it does work, so you can use that type. I did find one key that was an issue. That's this one. Although the slot looks big enough there, it actually is just a little bit too big to go over the post, so that was a bit of a bummer, because I actually had a set of work keys here involving a couple of these, and this one. So I'm pretty much screwed unless I actually drill this out to be a larger hole. So yeah, that was a little bit of an issue for me. I did actually get with this, I got the expansion pack, which is just this little envelope here, and in that you basically get a bunch more spacers, but you also get these 2 little metal posts, and I'll show you how those work. And they just screw onto the top of the existing pivot post. You can see the whole thing's threaded inside. So you just screw that on, and instantly you've got more capacity for keys. So you add one of those on and your capacity goes up to, I think it's up to 10 keys. Obviously depending on how thick each one is and the construction of the key. So you can add basically as many of those as you want. You can go right up to, I think, 50 keys or something like that. Or maybe even up to 100, actually, 50 either end. So yeah, you can make this pretty fat device, which kind of defeats the point a little bit in my opinion, because you're trying to make something that's slimline and sleek and isn't going to rattle around your pocket, and then you're turning it into a huge lump of keys. But everyone's different. Everyone has a different number of keys in their life, so if you have all those that you need to organize, then sure, go ahead. But yeah, so you just add these. I think a kit of the 2 posts and all the extra washers and so on is a couple of dollars on top of the $20 for the standard KeySmart itself. So I'm going to pause this here. I'm going to go ahead and put on both these posts and get some keys on, and then just show you how it operates and take another look at it. Okay, so I have basically constructed this with the 2 extension pillars in it. I think technically you're supposed to have your keys all set up so that you have the smooth spine of the key to the outside, and you have the jagged teeth to the inside, so if you drop this in your pocket it's not catching and pulling it open. That's not something I was too bothered about, so I just kind of threw them all on there. On this side you can see I have 1, 2, 3 keys and the hook for attaching it, and I also have, I think, 2 washers in there. On this side I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 2 washers and 1 at the bottom, so 3 total. And yeah, I was noticing again, constructing again, the really shallow slot in these flathead screws here. I mean, I think that's been kept shallow so for aesthetics, and it does look pretty nice. I mean, the whole thing looks sleek. It's quite a sleek, smart design, and I do like that. But it's not super practical, because I find that it's hard to get any torque with whether you're using a standard screwdriver or maybe you're trying to wing it and use a coin or whatever. But being flathead rather than something more specialized like a Torx, it does allow you to obviously play around with it and add or remove keys pretty easily using whatever you have to hand. So that's a nice feature. The keys in here, I have various styles. Some have just a straight through hole, some have a slot, some have a triangle. The ones that have a slot, you can see, unless you have this super tight. Now maybe I should have had an extra washer in here, because this side does feel a little more snug. So perhaps I could have tightened this a little bit, but this side you can see at the moment, and I've torqued that screw right down, the one with the slot does move around a little bit, so perhaps another washer would fix that. But also it's nice to have them, fairly free swinging as well. So one thing that I did worry about a little bit was perhaps these screws loosening off over time if you're turning these a lot. when I had it in the previous setup, I did waggle them around a lot, and I didn't find that was a problem. So that was quite good. I do quite like the function of the hoop here, the hook for hooking on inside a bag or onto a lanyard or whatever. I do wish they could have made some sort of slot that would kept that in line. This rotates all the time with the keys, and that might be useful in some situations, but I do find if I'm playing around with the keys, I tend to lose that inside. So if you're hooking it off something and then moving the keys around, before you know it, you've lost it in there, and then how do you get it back out? So again, perhaps this end maybe isn't tight enough, I'm not sure. I haven't really played around with it enough to it's something that would probably learn in long-term use, but that's something I noticed. And yeah, I mean, other than that, in terms of functionality of swinging out the key you need, you'll come to learn where they are fairly quickly, I guess. And I don't see any problems with the functionality of that. Overall, I do like the aesthetic. It's quite sleek looking, as I say, and it does keep things pretty neat. So yeah, I mean, overall the function is good. I'm still not convinced if it's for me. The way different keys work with it, and the fact that I can't use some of the keys that I would have in a certain set. Ideally you'd have maybe a set for home, a set for work, and that kind of thing. So I don't see any particular set in my life that would particularly benefit from this. My wife's actually a nurse, and she was looking at it and saying, keys that they use for drug cabinets, things like that, it'd be quite useful to have a set of those on one of these that could be handed to the next person coming on shift. That kind of thing is maybe a little bit more useful than having a big jangling key ring. So there's definitely a place for it. I personally quite like it. I'll keep using it and see if I can find a place in my EDC for it. And yeah, there you have it, guys. That's the KeySmart 2.0. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.